Representative Rand.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you very much, Representative Vruwink, for coming today. I really felt your testimony, and I know we've had some conversations in the past, and so I'm glad you're here to tell your story. Do you think this bill is strong enough?
You know, there's so many times that when these people are the abusers, they're advocates for their kids or their grandkids, and I get that. And I don't want them to be, you know, I mean, my love for sports, I don't want them taken away. You know, I think it's strong enough if we actually single out an official who has some authority, because what some of you were talking before, well, what, you know, you as an official, you can file a complaint. Well, if there's nobody in charge there, you could call the police, the game's over, and you could say, this person was harassing me. It's my word against theirs. So where's it going to lead to? So we need to have something strong enough to protect the official. And so, you know, so I think this bill is a good first step in taking care of the problem. I can tell you, and the problem occurs mostly when the fans are right on top of you. And a lot of these, in softball more than baseball, they're right on top of you. And I've had to turn around and tell people sitting right behind me, they wouldn't be back where this table was, and tell them, if you're not going to be quiet, if you're not going to stop, I'm going to have to ask you to be removed. And I can tell you there were parents who were on that same team who would thank me after the game because they were sick and tired of having to listen to those people, but they couldn't say anything to them. And so if officials given more authority and more respect, I believe you're going to see this problem get better. Because in my sport, there's more people my age in baseball and softball, I believe, than there are under 35. So where's baseball and softball going to be in 10 years? There won't be any freshman softball. There won't be any JV softball unless we do something to keep more people engaged.
It mattered to me to ask you that question because of your experience. I think the bill is good. I like it a lot, but the fact that you like it and it's strong enough means a lot to me. Thank you, sir, and thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I will say, and one more thing is that I don't officiate because of the money. I officiate because I love the sport. I want to be, and I love the kids, and I want to be part of something that's been part of my life. And I do it because I want to help youth. And so it isn't about money. I mean, $45 or $50 to do a game, and sometimes you drive 45 minutes to an hour. What do we actually gain? We spend time away from our family, but we do it because it helps kids. Sports is a way to teach kids, and you have to have good umpires to do that.
Representative Cabrera.
Yeah, so I know you gave us an example of a personal experience that you had. When that happened, did you call the police?
No, I didn't, because it's the end of, I've been there for 6 hours in 90-degree heat. I'm exhausted. And if the police would have been called, if I called the police, where do you think they would have went? You think they would have stayed there? I think it was their team's last game. They would have been long gone, but the police were called. And frankly, I don't have a phone on me. It would have to be the supervisors to call the police. And then, you know, what would they be saying? It would have to be the supervisor giving testimony, and he's busy running 4 different diamonds together, taking care of other things. So a lot of times the situation doesn't present itself to be able to do that.
Okay, but how would that be any different under this bill? You would still have to call the police to report anything that happened in order to, it would just be a stiffer penalty.
But I think if we pass this bill, officials will be more cognizant of wanting to do that because they know they have more teeth. At least in my estimation, I believe it would.
So I guess what I'm having trouble deciphering is if the incidents that has been raised, that there's been an increase. Has it been increased because there's no consequences, they haven't been reported and nothing's happening? Or is it because, you know, some other reason? I'm not really seeing the connection there. I don't see how, you know, because even if you increase the penalty, you would still, as the official, would still have the same you would have to take the first step, right? You would still have to be the first one to initiate, a reporting to the police in order for an investigation and whatever steps happen thereafter. And so I'm just trying to figure out what, what exactly, and I know you mentioned this too, that, it kind of gives the officials more authority, more respect, but the officials still would have to do the exact same thing. You're not the one who's actually going to have authority. It's the police who would have the option of whether to charge just a forfeiture offense or a criminal offense. And so it's still, the first step is with the official. And I'm just trying to figure out, is it because nobody's reporting anything and there's no consequences, or is it because?
I believe a lot, I believe that a lot of, if this bill was passed, these youth tournaments that operate on a weekend could highlight this bill to say, if these things happen, this could be your consequence more, and that would help them, prevent them from, doing the things they do to an official. I mean, we all accept, there's a call, I think Representative Dolman talked about, you make a call, half the people aren't going to be happy. But then they drop it. But there's a few individuals that it's every call, it's the same person continuous. And then, and you accept that, but when you walk out to your car, you don't expect to be followed. And so if there is a law that enhances protection for the officials, it certainly can be highlighted to the coaches of all these tournament teams that they coach and to their parents, that this is the penalty if you do such a thing, because right away that becomes intimidation. And that's how I view it anyway. And it would make me feel better as an official. And my tournament days are probably over, but I know it would help other people officials feel the same way. And I think the people testifying are more part of the organizations. They can probably give you more results. I'm speaking from my own opinion.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Representative Sirtwell.
Thank you. I wanted to follow up on Representative Cabrera's question. Because your answer to her basically was that we could use this bill as passed, if it became law, to highlight that you could get in trouble, get a Class A misdemeanor for doing this. And, as a general rule, people don't go kind of around harassing everybody. It's certain people that they tend to end up harassing. Either they have some sort of personal relationship or want a personal relationship or whatever else, and they're harassing them, or they're, a public official like ourselves, or a coach, a teacher, whatever. That there's usually a special thing that's coming into play. And so I wonder, you talked about the highlight. Do you think maybe it would be possibly at least as effective if maybe the sports organizations ought to highlight that, hey, our coaches, our umpires are people too, and you can fined $1,000 if you are harassing them with a Class A misdemeanor. Have you ever seen that at a tournament where they actually highlighted it and said, hey, you harassed them, you could get charged $1,000?
Right. I have done some games where the tournament directors tell that to the coaches. We talk about it beforehand, and it usually helps deal with the problem. But again, that's during the game. But if you go on after the game and they follow you out, that doesn't help with that situation. Here's what I've observed. As an older umpire, I don't get near as much grief as I see a younger umpire. Because this is what we're concerned about, is getting younger people into the field. Those of us who've had experience know that if there's somebody behind the backstop harassing us, you don't turn around and engage them, because that just eggs them on even more. But younger umpires sometimes take it pretty personal, and they will do that, and then you see it get worse. And even the kids I see are less tending to respect the younger umpires that just get in. And so we need to highlight and help protect these younger umpires so they will last 50 years like I have. because I've enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot until probably the last 5 or 6 years, I've seen the problem just escalate even more.
Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Vruwink.
Okay.